I want to talk to you here just for a moment about mainstream and independent. Listen to me very closely. Mainstream and independent. Now think about this for a moment. The system has it in this world in order for you to so-called quote-unquote make it, is that you have to go the mainstream. I mean, after all, if you want a very good job in this world, they have it set up where you have to go to college in order to obtain that job. They could care less what type of person you are as long as you have a piece of paper. Well, in the news media, you know, unless you jump through all the hoops and play the game and be a good circus clown like everybody else, unless you do all that, they won't allow you into their system in the mainstream where the money is. Even in the music industry, they have that thing on such a lockdown, you got to do some of the most craziest things in the world, including make an oath to Satan some way, somehow, before they will accept you into their circle or the mainstream. So you have the mainstream, and then you have the independents. You have the independent people who kick and buck against the system. They fight the power. And they're not going to be promoted by the mainstream. You can forget that. And the mainstream, they're not going to promote them. And the reason being is because they want to censor, they want to limit people who have ideas that are different than the mainstream, because they don't want you to get any fancy ideas, to have your mind shaped any different than what they're trying to promote in a society. You have to understand, many people think that they're actually functioning, thinking, and living by their own volition. But when you have been trained and you've had your mind coerced and manipulated to function a certain way, you've got to start questioning things. You've got to start using critical thinking and wondering if it is true, the thoughts that enter into your mind. Are they really yours? Do they really originate from you? Or is it that you have been programmed to function a certain way and you own these thoughts assuming that they are yours? Because, you see, they have such a lockdown in the system, and they make it very hard for independent people to so-called quote-unquote make it. That's why if you want to get the real truth about anything, you got to go underground. You really got to go underground. And the people, the reason why the mainstream hate us is because we pull people from the mainstream into the independent world. And if you stop feeding the beast of the mainstream, the beast will eventually starve and eventually die a horrific death, which that is our hope. That's why you have to go to alternative news media sources. You have to listen to alternative music that has nothing to do with the accepted status quo of today. When you look at people like Rihanna, I think that's her name, you look at all these rock people, rock stars, and all these other folks and stuff. These are people who have bowed down to the system and have done who know what in order to make it. When you look at the videos, when you got Jamie Foxx and Brad Pitt and all these are people that are in the mainstream. But if you really want to know the truth about anything, you have to get behind what is called independent people who are not censored, who are not controlled by the mainstream. Yeah, the mainstream has the market in order to get people noticed, which the whole world is pretty, you know, the majority of the world are basically a dumb people, just a very dumb, stupid people. And I'm sure they resent somebody talking to them like that. But if you ask them to just check truth, test truth, they won't do it. But they will function after the way that they've been trained, make you an enemy without even checking out the things that you said to prove it if you was telling the truth or a lie. I get that all the time as being a pastor. I get people get all mad and upset at me, and for no reason whatsoever at all, as if I'm not entitled to my own opinion or be able to preach. I don't go disturb them, but yet they think it's their right to come and disturb me, and to not only that, to perpetuate injustices and evil against me, which is utterly amazing and very hypocritical. But the underground movement is growing, and it's even more powerful. It's more powerful. I promise you one thing, you ain't gonna see Pastordowell being interviewed, and I would be utterly amazed if it ever happened on a mainstream religious Christian program or a Jewish messianic program. They ain't gonna have me there. You know why? Because I'm gonna tell the truth, and they're afraid that I may say something that is the truth that they don't want you to hear, because if they control the information, they control what you think and the way that your mind will think and the way that it will go. And they don't want you to receive any new ideas. because new ideas would destabilize the present status if they have it today. And I tell you, ooh, this thing is shaking. I'm sorry about the shake. Let me steady my hand over here for a second. But hey, I thank Lisa, Sister Lisa, and Brother Josh for actually giving me this thing. I just need to put it in a better location. That's what I need to do. Sorry for the shake there. I did stabilize there. But hey, I think you got the message. I think you know what I'm saying. Inspire and motivate more people to actually view things and look at things from an alternative source, whether it be news media, especially so-called religion, anything. Look outside of the mainstream, because the mainstream is not going to tell you the truth, and that is the truth, and that's the truth straight away.